You have to know what's going on, what cards you hold. So,
Which is also the thing, this happened to a veteran of our C3 cage, our sister promotion, with Luis Grillet, who he fought on a Fury card. A week later was in Vegas helping corner his teammate Brandon Royval, and just knew that, hey, there might be a chance there's one more week of Contender Series, there's a flyweight fight that's on the card. Let's just see what happens. Let's stay within range to where we can make the fight or make the weight and take the fight. Well, as luck turns out, there was an opportunity that opens up. He spends 24 hours, a full 24 hours cutting the weight to get down to make that opportunity, goes out there, earns a contract. So again, it's just sometimes when that opportunity is that close, it's just as you mentioned, it's the sacrifice, it's the dedication, and it's the willing to run a sprint without knowing where the finish line is.
yeah, 100%. And again, like, congrats to Luis Garul, because that was a crazy fight. Fantastic fight, man. We've had some great fighters come out of Colorado. I've seen so many get to the UFC, get to the big show, do really, really good up there. So we have some great talent down here.
Speaking of talent, we have a very bright prospect who just made his way to the blue corner. We have Lorenzo Grigio out of Factory X. He comes to us by way of South Florida. This kid is so jacked, Elias. He looks like the chimpanzee who has no hair. Those memes that you see online. I mean, he's as yoked as it gets with zero body fat. He's being cornered today by UFC veterans Yusuf the Moroccan Devil Zalal as well as Cody Brundage.
Yeah, he's got a very strong mustache as well.
Oh yeah, that mustache is ready for action today. And he's just, in terms of style, this is his debut fight as far as a striking opportunity goes. He's got an MMA fight in the works for March 1st. So again, one of those young guys who's actively competing all across the board. He's competed on a couple of pro jiu-jitsu cards over the last 2 months. It's 2-0 in those affairs. Picked up a finish in his last showing 2 weeks ago at CJJC 23 Years End. He's fighting Ricardo Gimon out of McMahon Training Center up there in Fort Collins, Colorado today. A couple of young guys who are willing to go in there and get after it, but I really do think that some of the athleticism from Lorenzo is going to be put on display today. He's been kind of brought under the wings of a guy like Yusuf Zalal, and Elias, you can speak to it from what did it mean for you when you had a guy at a high level like Corey bring you under his wing? What did that do for your growth once he kind of just said, you know what, just follow me, young Padawan?
Yeah, when you have somebody like that, I mean, personally, my growth, I trained with Corey for like 6 months straight, and I had 2 years of growth in that 6 months. It was crazy. The amount of knowledge that those people have. I mean, there's a time to shut up and listen, and it's around those guys.
Representing Vegas, please welcome Ricardo Gimon.
Expect to see some buttery smooth movement side to side from Lorenzo. He said he also, in speaking with him before the fight, he anticipates his opponent coming out there with a little bit of a head full of steam. Says he's a young kid, also in his debut fight. He knows from the advice that's been given to him and being around that this kid's going to come after him, and he feels like a body shot would potentially set up a finish for him.
Yeah, he's coming out real strong right now. We'll see how the cardio holds up.
I think he felt that the body shot hurt him.
Yeah.
Lorenzo's starting to tee off a little bit, but he's getting clinched up and kneed in the process.
Ricardo making really good decisions. I mean, when somebody's just coming at you, you need to make sure your hands are up, your chin is tucked, and that you crash. And what a crash is just like two cars coming together. Like you stop, they stop, and you need to have a good attack. He's throwing those knees. He's clinching up. This is really smart from him. Kind of tire out Lorenzo. That was a great sweep.
It's definitely smart that he's utilizing the clinch and trying to put some knees into Lorenzo's body, especially a kid that big and explosive. You want to try to slow him down with anything that you can, right?
100%, 100%. Yeah, it looks like we definitely have two opposite sides of the spectrum as far as fighting goes. Lorenzo, more of the brawler a little bit, come forward. I'd say Ricardo definitely wants to pick his shots. He's trying to fight fire with fire a little bit.
Standing 8 count. Lorenzo Grigio just throwing canned ham bombs over here.
Yeah.
So his, just as we talked about, Elias, sometimes the way that they think things are going to go early on, that doesn't really happen. Lorenzo said that he was going to kind of use some movement, feel him out for the first round, and let his opponent get some of that nervous energy out. Lorenzo's the one who had a lot of output. Now, he landed with a lot of authority in the process, but he did use a lot of energy in the process.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely used a lot of energy. He seemed like he was in shape. I mean, he kept going. His technique for what he was throwing, mostly hooks, looked great to me. I'd say for this next round, if I'm in Ricardo's corner, I'm telling him, I mean, he needs to make sure he's crashing. He knows what this guy's going to do. He doesn't want to play the kickboxing Muay Thai game with him. He wants to come forward and he wants to hit him. This is a fight at the end of the day. So he's come in ready to fight, but he needs to just pick his shots a little bit smoother, a little bit better. Be ready for those knees and then to return right off of those and get his space back. Space is super important when you're fighting. But right now, the space is a little too close for Ricardo to do anything right now. So if he wants to get back in this fight, he needs to pick his shots a little better.
And I know Lorenzo's got long arms. I mean, he could pretty much, drag his knuckles along the ground when he walks. But overall, dimension-wise, Ricardo is the longer guy. Utilize your teeth. Utilize those long-range attacks to keep him off of you. But easier said than done when you have this kind of peekaboo action coming from Lorenzo. Big knee to the body.
Yeah, he needs straight shots. He needs to throw those knees. Try to clinch him up here. Lorenzo
and somebody
really
like Lorenzo, just to give you folks at home a background of what he's been training for 5-minute rounds, so him coming down here to go 3-2s, that's probably potentially also in his head. He can think, all right, well, I can just go full octane for 120 seconds, give myself 60 seconds to recover, and then do it again for another 2 minutes. I mean, this is a kid who spends, outside of active training time, he's always in the gym, always doing mobility work, always spending time working on his physical performance. We have another standing 8 count right here for Lorenzo Grigio.
Very nice. Came out strong. And Ricardo's just covering up.
You have instruction coming from Yusuf Zalal saying, calm down, just breathe. He said, you're about 2 big shots away from finishing him. Calm down, find him. Another big body shot. Good knee on the counter in the clinch there from Gimon.
Yeah, really doing a good job going to the body and the head.
And credit to Gimon for continuing to stay standing in the process because his body is getting eaten alive at this stage.
Ten seconds. And Lorenzo's just back in his face immediately.
The slobber knocker brawl of a second round, but another knockdown scored by Lorenzo Grigio. This is also, though, I mean, it's fun to watch that he has these 2 very experienced vets in his corner, and they're just kind of, they're giving him a Cody Brundage right now, another partner with us on the broadcast here for both of our promotions, but he's having a little laugh, and Lorenzo's like, yeah, is this everything that you thought it was going to be? Because Lorenzo's been a kid who's been in the gym for a long time, but this is just his first fight, so they're probably having their little moment of like, welcome to what you asked for, buddy. I'm sure you can relate. You've had those moments where like, hey, this is what you asked for, right?
Yeah, there's gyms out there, Factory X included, where there's 2 gyms. There's the fight gym, and then there's the, you want to fight. Factory X is one of those gyms that they make sure that you're ready to come out and fight, Some other gyms will throw you to the wolves a little bit. I'm not saying that's the case for Ricardo. I mean, he definitely has some skill. It seems to be a little outmatched right now by Lorenzo. But a strong camp Lorenzo's coming out of in Factory X.
To give credit to any of the coaches out there too. Sometimes it's tough when you're two debutantes and you don't have tape, you don't have, some of these guys don't have much on their social media or anything to really evaluate what their background is. But I mean, Ricky has heart. He's still fighting. He's not backing down. He's not just accepting or conceding defeat. He is still scrapping away. He has to find a finish here in this third round.
He's certainly trying right now.
He's a young 19-year-old kid who's biting down on his mouthpiece, but he's just running into a kid who has a bit of an experience advantage, even though they're both on a parallel plane as far as no fights, no official fights. Just a little bit of a difference right now. Lorenzo's a little bit older, has some more muscle maturity in the process. And again, as we mentioned, just by the nature of who he is under the tutelage of, he's going to have some seasoning to that cast iron.
Yeah.
Even as a debutante at 0-0.
Yeah.
You don't spend months on end preparing Yusuf Zalal for fights in the UFC and not take something away from it. Both of these fighters and their teams have multiple combatants on the card today.
A lot of clinch. I'd love to see Ricardo try to work in the clinch a little bit more, Put Lorenzo's head down. Don't knee him in the head, go to the body. But really nice body shots from Lorenzo.
And that's the first time that Lorenzo has really shown that action immediately from the clinch of going to the body.
And they are swinging. Late shot, he tried to stop it. I don't think there was any malicious intent behind that. He tried to pull it, yeah. That happens sometimes. You're in the middle of a fight, the bell rings, you're already throwing. I mean, it's hard to stop yourself sometimes.
You're already, you also have headgear on.
Yeah. Headgear, that's another topic.
First fight, you have blinders on. You're just like, okay, I'm just wheeling and dealing until they separate. It's understandable how it happens. On each side of the equation, though, both guys came out and showed a lot of grit. This was one of those debutante versus debutante fights where, hey, call it for what it is. This is a little bit more of a brawl than a technical showing in a lot of the exchanges, but there were technical aspects that each of these guys can build off of. Lorenzo's ability to find his way inside, working the body. He had that good sweep and dump, a couple of knees to the body in the process. But again, on each side, certainly some opportunities for both of them to go back there and work on, which should be expected, though. I mean, this is their first fight. If they came out here looking like world beaters, then what are we doing, right?
Yeah, and it's just from my experience, it's especially hard to fight people that just want to come out and brawl, throw hands, be in your face. And not being able to elbow or knee them in the head, because those are definitely some stoppers. It was just something that you could think about. I mean, Lorenzo's jacked. He got a 10-pack on him. You knee him in the body as many times as you want. He's probably going to keep coming, but you start to go to the head, things like that. That's something to look out for. So,
and on the flip side, I want to give credit to Ricky's conditioning because Lorenzo did go to the body a lot in this fight, which is something that the more that the body has gone to, we always talk about, you're putting water in the basement, right? That is slowly draining the cardio, but credit to that kid's strength and conditioning because he was able to fight all the way to the final bell.
Two judges scored about 30-25, and one judge scored at 29-26 for your winner out of the blue corner, Lorenzo